The reason why I am all in is that this is personal for me. I believe that there has to be a better, faster, and much more responsive way to educate our students that reflects and supports them in all ways, not just academically, but also culturally, holistically. And from my point of view, charters are the best way to do that.
You're listening to the Bold by Choice podcast with Vashanta Harris and Jim Gunner. Real talk about charter schools, from the boardroom to the classroom. Powered by the National Charter Schools Institute.
Well, friends, welcome back to the Bold by Choice podcast. This is the space for people bold enough to believe that public education can be different. I'm your host, Vashanta Harris, and I'm here with my co-host and CEO, Jim Gunner. Good morning, Jim.
Hey, good morning. We are fired up and ready to go with a couple of fantastic guests.
That's right. I'm super pumped for this season. And that's because we are taking some time to lift up schools that are 100% worth bragging about. These are schools intentionally designed to reflect the communities they serve. And to kick things off, we begin with the leaders of the Diverse Charter Schools Coalition, a national network proving the promise of chartering together. We are joined today by Sonia Park, Executive Director, and Ashley Hurd, Development and External Affairs Lead. Together with their team, they are leading a coalition of 281 schools across 26 states, serving more than 120,000 students. Through 22 communities of practice and innovative leadership programs, the Fellows and Explorers, they're equipping educators to lead diverse by design schools with courage and conviction. And each year, DCSC gathers its community at their annual convening, now in its 8th year, with the next one happening in Washington, D.C. So this is clearly not just an idea. It is certainly a movement. And welcome to the show, Sonia and Ashley.
Thanks for having us.
So excited, and you really hyped us up. So
I'm your personal hype woman. I love it. I love it. Well, let's kick it off with your stories. What brought each of you into education and ultimately leading this work at DCSC? And Sonia, I'll come to you first.
Thanks. What brought me to education? It's such a great question. So I grew up in and out and around Philadelphia. I'm the daughter of Korean immigrants, and depending on our financial situation, sometimes we lived within the city when things were a little more tight, and sometimes we lived in the suburbs. And I learned firsthand how zip codes made a difference in public schools. And while the suburban schools had more funding, smaller class sizes, shiny buildings, a lot more resources, oftentimes my brother, sister, and I were some of the very few students of color within that school, and we were made to feel it. And when we went to school in urban Philadelphia with older buildings, large class sizes, fewer resources, but the students were different racially, socioeconomically, and it made me realize as an adult that having more funding doesn't mean that every student is made to feel welcomed and recognized. And so what I want to create and what we're hoping that we're doing through DCSC is that we want to create a world where not only all public schools are well funded, but they also work to ensure that each and every student has a sense of belonging within their community. That's why I'm doing the work I'm doing.
Sonia, I remember meeting your sister a year ago in Chicago at our A-game event. Where are you in the birth order of the three?
I'm the middle child. Can you tell? I don't know. Older brother, younger sister.
All right. Well, that makes sense.
Well, Ashley, we'd love to ask you the same question. What was your journey into the work that you're doing now?
Thanks. I joined Teacher America as a college senior. I was at an excellent private and very fancy university at the time. I was there on Pell Grant. I saw a Teacher America flyer on the wall of the student center and was shocked to learn, as the poster informed me, that 1 in 10 kids from low-income backgrounds attends college. My own experience in college was confusing. I was both incredibly privileged to be there, and I felt woefully out of place. I was shocked by the statistic on the poster, but I think also, given my own sort of background, kind of understood it more than a statistic. I applied to TFA, got in. I've been in education ever since. In 2015, after childhood, college, and sort of young adulthood bouncing around, I moved home to Baton Rouge. And by then, I'd worked in education for 15 years, and I was excited to be home, or what for me was the closest place to home, and among family. I was happy to work in a place where I had roots. And then Alton Sterling was shot in 2016, and the response fell along predictable racial lines. Around that time, I learned about the Diverse Charter Schools Coalition, and it was new to me. I'd been a part of traditional public schools, charter public schools, but I was not familiar with charter schools that were intentionally diverse, and it just really spoke to me. I love what we do as an organization, as a community of educators and advocates. And I love the people involved in leading and advocating for intentionally diverse schools. I think I love it because it's about something bigger than just schools or just education. It's about what schooling can and should be vis-a-vis a larger community. I remember I was in law school and a professor once said that he defined learning as the synapses in our brain firing in new patterns, ostensibly because they've encountered something disruptive to the normal path. And I love that definition. It's why I think that kids who don't look, think, believe like each other should be in school together. Um, it's an environment that challenges what they know, and that's the definition of learning. Yeah, that's what
Ashley,
brings
I
me here.
love the impact Teach for America has had, and they've fueled so many people like you into charter schools. But one of our newest teammates at the National Charter Schools Institute, Heather Wendling, was a TFA. So my question for you is this: I'm always curious, what were you studying in school when you decided to go the TFA route?
Jim, I was a dork. I played school with my dolls and my dogs. And yeah, by the time I got to college, I think I was an English major. I didn't really know what I was going to do, where I was going to go. But looking back, it made perfect sense for me to be in education.
I love the name Teach for America. Our theme here is bold by choice. But just the idea that you could tell a college student, hey, come teach for America, how noble is that?
We were just young and naive. We didn't know what we were doing.
Well, you had big hearts, right? You were going to save the world and teach for America. That's a beautiful thing.
And you stayed in education. That's a huge thing. So
Yeah, a
kudos.
lot of the folks that I taught with are still around and they're still in education in a variety of ways and in places. And so, yeah, I can't imagine my career or personal life really without having had that experience.
Sonia and Ashley, let's dig in. For the listeners that may be new to the Diverse Charter Schools Coalition, what is the coalition about? What makes it unique amongst all the other educational organizations that are out there?
I'm going to jump in, Jim. The Diverse Charter Schools Coalition, DCSC, is unique because it is member created. So we started off with 14 original schools and networks. Their leaders came together and said the work that we're doing in creating intentionally integrated schools and communities is more than a one off. It's actually, we're part of a growing movement and we need to come together and support each other. So we are a grassroots created organization, and now we are serving over 280 individual schools across 26 states and DC. So I think that's huge in itself as a national organization that we are for our members and about our members. And the work we do at the coalition is to bring our folks together. So we offer different supportive programmatic work that's really peer-to-peer learning and sharing. We look to promote our members, really tell their stories and uplift all the good work that's happening on the ground. And good work doesn't always mean it's the most sexy story, but is really important that is happening. And the last thing I want to talk about that we're doing, which is really exciting for me, is that we're starting to build out what it means to be intentionally diverse through the creation of a high quality, intentionally diverse school framework, which actually can give you a little more information about. But it is really highlighting best practices that's occurring across our membership base.
Tell us about when those 14 founding schools came together and said, let's do this. When was that? Where was that? How did that come together?
Our first convening was in New Orleans, and it was over 12 years ago. And they had started talking together. I would actually put them at, charter leaders, the 2.0 version of chartering, and leaders that came to do this work really interested in charter schools and the flexibility that charters provide, and also with innovative designs. The leaders who came in with the original 14 had really different design models, from international baccalaureate to dual language to project-based learning. And it wasn't about the model itself, but it was the intention of creating schools that were diverse from the get-go, built into their DNA. And that was the driving force that brought these leaders together. Uh, all entrepreneurs. I think all charter leaders are entrepreneurial, but also with a social justice sense of like, we can do this and we can do it faster than what could happen at the district level. And so I think that was the driving impetus to start the coalition.
Our listeners know that sometimes we get carried away with the peas, but it sounds like passionate people coming together around a common purpose.
I think that is right.
And that's been a theme, which I love. Like, as we've talked to multiple folks across different organizations, we hear that passion and how people are coming together to make an impact. And for folks who may be brand new to the Diverse Charter Schools Coalition, how would you describe your organization and what makes you unique? Like, what's your special sauce?
I'll start, and Ashley, please jump in. I think our special sauce is really the schools that are part of the coalition. They are not just passionate leaders, they also recognize that the work they're doing, not just educating the students within their community, but it's understanding that by bringing different folks together, they're enriching their students' lives and their staff lives and their community lives, that it is a holistic approach, not just focused on one narrow aspect, maybe of just academic performance. So I think that's an important piece. And the fact that a school leader in Nashville can talk to a school leader in LA or DC because they have that same passion and drive is part of, I think, the magic of the coalition, because they may be one of very few schools in their particular area that have this intentionality around diversity. So building a community, a national community, really attracts other leaders to be part of the coalition.
So we try and make a distinction on the Bold by Choice podcast of the difference between management and leadership. And you keep talking about leaders, and you actually have a couple programs to build leaders. One you call your fellows, and one you call your explorers. Ashley, can you tell us about those two programs and what they're doing?
Sure, happily. Yeah. And I think what's unique about our programming across the coalition is it really brings to bear the expertise and experience of the leaders across the schools that we serve. And so, there are lots of ways you could train to be a school leader. But if you're going to train to be a school leader at the Diverse Charter Schools Coalition, you're going to do it with a focus on intentional diversity and quality, and you're going to do it the backing of the leaders across the 281 schools in the coalition. So I think that makes it really special and unique. In terms of programming, I'd say, we kind of live in a few buckets. First, we have communities of practice. This is something that our members are incredibly excited about. Lots of folks join each year. We have anywhere from 3 to 5 each year. In total, 400 leaders from 70 schools have attended our communities of practice over the years. They're really on sort of the progressive side of education. It's a time for practitioners to get together, talk about a problem of practice, and work on that together. So that's what our communities of practice look like. Importantly, 68% of the folks who join our communities of practice are people of color, and we think that's important. In terms of other programming, we also have our Unify Ed Leadership Development Program. Jim, this is the one that you were talking about. It's interesting. It's developed over time. We started as a fellowship program. We supported leaders who were looking to launch new intentionally diverse schools. And we saw some success there. We supported 23 fellows who have now launched 19 schools that are open and operating in 13 communities across the country. Interestingly, when we took our fellows to our member schools for excellent school visits as part of their fellowship program, our school leaders said, hey, this is great, but we want this kind of training for our staff, our emerging leaders who are going to become the leaders in our building over the next several years. I said, great. So we launched what we call our Explorer program. Our Explorers sort of run the gamut. They are in a position of leadership at a school, most often. They are interested in learning about promising practices from schools across the country. So we've had 84 leaders go through our Explorer program. 53% of those folks are people of color. And they're with us for half a year, learning, experiencing, visiting, and collaborating around what makes an excellent, intentionally diverse school. What can I learn from these excellent schools? And then most importantly, what can I bring back to my home community, my home school community, that will make school better and more equitable for the students that I'm working with now?
So Sonia, you're one of the hardest workers I know. I remember being at LA, Los Angeles for your annual conference, and I went down to the workout room at about 5:30 in the morning, and here you are hosting this conference, and you must have been on that treadmill for a while because you were going hard and had a full lather built up. But what makes you so tenacious? And you got to feel so proud of founding 14 schools to now 281 schools across the country. That's amazing.
Thanks, Jim. Um, I'm trying to see thread the needle on my lathering up on the treadmill is a nice picture of Sonia Park to have in your head. So
Well, it's with total respect. Like, you don't just go work out, you are all in. And one of our themes is we want people to be all in on this idea because the kids
yeah,
need us to be all in for them. And you are clearly all in.
thank you. And I think a reason why I am all in is that this is personal for me. So the work that we do, I really pull in from my own personal experience going to school, public school in and out of Philadelphia, but also my son's experience. So he has he did K-12 in the New York City public school system. K-8 was charter schools, and then 9-12 was at a New York public high school. And it was heartbreaking for me to see him experience similar things that I did when I was growing up. He was made to feel othered, he was made to feel marginalized. And if this happens in New York, where it is the most diverse city in the country, that means that's a problem for me. And so I believe that there has to be a better, faster, and much more responsive way to educate our students that reflects and supports them in all ways, not just academically, but also culturally, holistically. And from my point of view, charters are the best way to do that effectively and quickly, because trying to change a system is a long-term onerous project. I used to work in the system. I used to work for the New York City DOE. So I was in the belly of the beast, and I know there has to be alternate ways to do a better job in serving our students. So I work up myself in the lather right now because this is so personal and important for me.
Hey, Vashana, did you hear her? She brought in
Yeah,
another P. It's personal.
that's right.
And her head and her heart's in it. And that's what we love about leaders, when their head and their heart's in it.
That's right, Jim. I also heard another thing that we were talking about with our season 2, and that was the power of chartering. And when we say chartering, we really mean that in the like action nature, right? The verb nature of that, and how you are talking about like it is a quick way to adjust course and to make things happen for kids that need to happen based on their own humanity, their own communities, and their own families. And there's another piece of this puzzle that I've had the pleasure of talking to Ashley about. And that's how you all are defining the quality. So you've kind of like defined your schools. You've got a leadership program. Schools are happening and they're magical. I can't wait for the rest of the listeners to hear the rest of this season. But let's talk about this kind of quality piece and the framework that you all are launching soon.
biggest change in our current strategic plan and the place that's really going to move us from sort of diverse charter schools coalition 1.0 to 2.0. So you said, Vishanta, these schools are magic, right? And yet there's actually a lot behind it, right? The goal of the HQID, the high quality, intentionally diverse charter schools framework, is to codify that magic. So we want to understand where are our schools nailing it? Who's nailing it on a culture? Who's nailing it on academics? What are the other components that make an intentionally diverse school that is high quality? High quality. So we're going to go codify those components. We're going to study them using with the members across our coalition. We've brought in some partners, so we're really excited. We're part of MIT Blueprint Labs research study. We've partnered with Columbia to study 16 of the schools across our network to understand what's special about these schools, why and how are they getting the results that they're getting. So our goal over the next several years is to codify this framework to define what is an intentionally diverse, excellent school, what are its components, how do you achieve those various components, and who's doing it really, really well, so we can go see it, touch it, feel it, learn from it, and bring those best practices back to the school communities in our own hometowns.
When my kids were younger, they loved basketball and they thought they were pretty good. And so we got a saying, you got to get out of your neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, when they went to Flint or Detroit or Indianapolis to play basketball, they were like, whoa, we're not so good. And people are play this game really fast and they're really talented. One of the things I love about you guys is you take people on field trips to schools where they can be fully immersed and see the look and the sound and the feel of excellence. Can you tell us about that?
Absolutely. Jim, our theme this year is Better Together. And I really think that it's an appropriate theme for many reasons. But one of them is we go see each other's schools because we understand that if we can learn together, see together, touch and feel together what it is that our different leaders across the country are doing in their schools, we'll be able to grow and learn together. And all of our schools will improve as a result of that. And so visiting schools is a huge part of all of our programs, our annual convening. School visits are a part of our annual convening. They're part of our leadership development program, our Unify Ed program. And of course, our communities of practice are all attended by, and the folks who participate in those communities of practice are all leading schools as well. So seeing, touching, feeling, being in and around schools is a huge part of all of our work.
And you can't get that from a textbook.
No, you got to see it. And what's great is our leaders are real, right? So our leaders, when you go to see our schools and you take a tour of our schools with our leaders, they're going to say, hey, here's what's working and here's what's not. Here's what we would avoid. Do not do this. Lessons learned. So our folks
I
are
love that
incredibly
spirit
generous
too,
there.
right? Because charters are about choice, and a lot of times people talk about that as competition. But here you are, a network, a community, lifting each other up, sharing your practices willingly, helping each other get better. That's beautiful.
That's right. It reminds me of when we talk about the Kip story, right? And Harriet Ball says, "Here's what I want y'all to do, no matter what, is share everything." And I'm hearing a bit of that theme with the Diverse Charter Schools Coalition. Let's hang out together, right? Jim says all the time, we're fellow travelers, and I love your theme. We get better together. So that's super cool. One of the things, I think I've said it a million times, I am most excited about is hearing from school leaders and getting a little bit of flavor of some of your member schools. So I'd love to just talk about what is exciting you about some of the schools that we're going to spotlight in the show this season.
I love the schools that you're going to be talking about because they are a great sample of what it means to be not only intentionally diverse and innovative, they're also reflective of the communities that they're serving. So you're going to talk to City Garden. They're our member of the year. They're Montessori school in St. Louis, Missouri. Brooklyn Prospect, they're International Baccalaureate. They are actually one of the founding members of the coalition, and they're doing amazing work. Beehive, it's located in Utah, science focused. Blackstone Valley Prep in Rhode Island, they are uniquely designed deliberately to pull from 2 urban and 2 suburban districts to get to that diversity mix and be really reflective. So again, dedicated school leaders, really interesting and innovative schools. And I'm super excited to listen to the rest of the season as you highlight our members. And I have another P word for you. Ashley and I are both parents of children that attended charter schools or currently
Hey, that
attending a
makes
charter
three of
school.
us. I
All
tell
right,
people
there
all
you go.
the time, I'm just a charter dad. When I'm not traveling, I take Natalie to Renaissance Public School Academy. And you know what is amazing as a parent? She loves to go to school. And I think of the parents that like it's a fight every morning to get your kid to go to school. She loves it. And that's what I want for every student, every parent, every school to be like a community of joyful learning. And it strikes me that one of your guys' special sauces is love.
I, Jim, we talked about this a little bit earlier that sometimes people don't aren't always comfortable talking about love and education. But there has to be passion, yes, but also love of the work that you're doing, love of the community that you're serving, and really particularly love the students that you're working with. And wearing my old district hat, I've been in a lot of schools where you don't feel that love coming from the administration. They're there to check a box, show up, do their job, and then go home. And it is just a job. It's not a career. It's not a passion for them. And I think that thread through of understanding that you got to love what you do to do this work because it is not easy. It is so incredibly hard. And that's what we also see reflective of the leaders that are part of the coalition. I mean, like Ashley said, they'll tell you what goes well and also what doesn't go well. And they're still doing it because they are committed to the work and because they're building something out of love. And I think that's an important piece. We don't always want to talk about it because it's like feelings, but I think it's an important part of the work that we do.
So, Sonia, that's why we're going right after it. And right, being bold by choice, it's part of the reason we launched the podcast. It's part of the reason we're home to the National Charter School Founders Library. What we hear from people is people are joining this charter movement. It's just a job. And for those of us that are the OGs, it's like, no, this isn't a job. This is a mission, a calling. This is a love. And when you're all in that way, you get different results. And that's what we want for everybody. And so part of our job is to help share that purpose with the new generation that's going to take over and lead the future.
Absolutely. And I see you brought that P back in. We talked about that purpose before as well. Sonia and Ashley, we've talked a lot about community, and I am willing to bet that some of our listeners may want to get an understanding of how they can support, be a part, or maybe even join the coalition. So, what are ways that folks can engage with you all?
Yeah, I'm so glad that you asked, Vashanta. The easiest way and the way that I recommend to folks all the time is come to our annual convening. It is February 3rd through 5th in Washington, D.C. Our theme is Better Together. We expect about 300 people to attend. And interestingly, over 50% of our members attend every year. So while it certainly is a conference, right, we have keynotes and we have breakout sessions and we learn new things. It's also a family reunion. So if you really want to get a sense of what the Diverse Charter Schools Coalition is all about, come be with our member schools, our partners, come to our annual family reunion. Like I said, this year, February 3rd through 5th, Washington, D.C.
So I'm going to be in Utah next week doing strategic planning with the Utah State Charter School Board. And I'm thinking I need to go see the Beehive School.
Come with us. We'd love to have you.
We'll be there.
I would love to see that. And I've got two kids that are engineers and a daughter that's going to be one in a year. And that's a STEM school. So
Yes.
I tease my kids all the time that, every great leader needs a few engineers to crunch some numbers. But maybe they could teach me something so I could communicate with my kids.
There you go.
Well,
That'd be awesome.
you should definitely visit Beehive. I know you're going to be talking to Hanifi through the podcast, but we're super excited to go because not only have they been consistent members that show up in our communities of practice and our convening, Beehive is the one member school we have in Utah. So we want to show them love and help them grow and thrive. So Jim, definitely go. Throw them some flowers and, recognize that they are also not just a DCSC member. They are also a top performing school in Utah. And that's another thing when we're talking about high quality schools, it's everything. And our members are doing an amazing job with the students they're working with in all aspects. So academically, culturally, responsively. And I think that's an important part because sometimes we hear people say it's a choice. You're either going to a school that's like this, or you're going to a high performing, academically rigorous school. And we don't see it as a binary. It's actually part of why we're creating this high quality, intentionally diverse framework to provide a much more balanced approach to what quality could and should look like in schools.
Oh, I like to say, we like to talk about this work as really kind of demonstrating and articulating what it looks like to run a school that's at the nexus of quality and diversity. And we're really excited. We don't think there's a framework out there that does that yet.
Last week, the U.S. Department of Education announced a whole bunch of grant winners through the federal charter school grant program. And while it was the previous cycle, the Utah State Charter School Association holds that CSP grant. And so there's money for new startups and replications and expansions. And so I can see that fueling your membership in lots of different places around the country.
Absolutely. And folks have used CSP dollars to send folks through the Unify Ed program. In other cases, they've used those dollars to join as members of the coalition. So it's a great point, Jim.
Well, Sonia and Ashley, we can't thank you enough for joining us and opening up this season with us and allowing us to hang out with you all and some of your coalition members for season 3. Your journeys, your leadership, and the coalition that you all are managing remind us that chartering at its best is all about community, vision, equity, and a quality education for students. To our listeners, please do not miss the chance to check out the Diverse Charter Schools Coalition and all of the programming they have going on at diversecharters.org and follow their work as they gear up for their upcoming convening. Go ahead and register if you have the chance.
Sonia, tell us about the conference. It's in DC. When is it? And let's get people to get it on their calendars right now.
Yes, as Ashley mentioned, it's February 3rd through 5th in DC, in the city proper. We will, you can go to our website to register, and there's additional information. We will have a full day of programming, really interesting sessions, and a great keynote experience. So I'm just gonna leave it there as a teaser. You have to go and come and see what's happening. And then on the Thursday, we have optional school visits. So you can actually, again, go to our member schools and see what's happening within the schools themselves. So we're super, super excited. We encourage everybody to come and take a look and see some of the amazing schools that are part of the coalition, but also get a real in-person experience about what it means to be part of the work that we're doing.
All right, so go to www.diversecharters.org. And those schools got to be chartered by one of our partners, which is the DC Public Charter School Board.
That's
and
right.
They're one of the unique special purpose authorizers created in the country and actually created by Congress.
All right. Well, Jim and I are excited. We'll be at the convening as well. So come hang out with us, friends. And stay with us all season long. If you have not committed, go ahead and hit subscribe, follow us. We want to make sure you don't miss a single beat as we highlight diverse by design schools across the nation, which we believe are schools worth bragging about. So until next time, stay bold, continue along your missions, and continue to be in community. And we'll see you next week.